You've tuned into The Mountain Gardener with your host, Ken Lain. Gardening, it can be challenging, but with these simple insider tips, you'll reap huge rewards. Now, let's tune into today's Mountain Gardener with Ken and Lisa. And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener. Your host, Ken Lain, here every week, talking about the landscapes of northern Arizona. And we are, I can't believe it, the gardens are waking up. It's only February. Everything's a month early, including my fruit trees. Fruit trees are starting to bud up real heavy there, and I'm looking at the roots. So here's how I tell when spring is right on the corner. And I can tell because I've got a garden center and I'm looking at the roots of the plants. So I can pop the roots of fully rooted fruit tree, any kind of plant. And then I look at it, and when it starts to, the buds get heavy or big, plump, and the roots start growing, they happen at the same time. And so if I pull the roots out of the bucket, and I see white, brand new root hairs, I know, whoa, this thing is growing. It's going to town. And so they always start rooting before they leaf out, before they bloom. And the fruit trees are going crazy right now, all the varieties. I thought I'd take a moment, and this is only because it's top of mind. I just unloaded an entire semi of fruit trees. And so we've got hundreds of them, hundreds and hundreds of them. I thought I'd give a quick explanation between dwarf, semi-dwarf, and standard or regular fruit trees, the ones that your grandparents used to grow, and then try to go into how old does a tree need to be before it actually blooms and sets fruit. So plants are very much like people. At a certain age, they need to be a certain age before they can start populating, setting fruit, getting the seed and going. So that for a tree, that is going to be on average starting. They have to be at least 5 years old to 7 to 8 years old before they're old enough or mature enough to actually fruit and set. They'll flower, but they won't set fruit until they need a certain age. And so that tends to be 5 to 7 years old. So all the trees that we sell here at Watters Garden Center, because we're niche-y, I'm trying to stay out of the big box stores way. I can't compete. I don't want to. It's not fun in that sandbox. It's more fun in my sandbox where I get to have bigger, more mature fruit trees that are old enough to actually set fruit like this year, like right now, like in the tree racks, they'll be setting fruit because we're selling trees that we've had them at the farm for, I'd say on average, 10 years for most of our fruit trees. Now they start at 5 years and they go up to the bigger sizes. They'll be more like 10 years old. And so we purposely, our customers that shop here at Watters Garden Center, they purposely want a more mature tree. They don't want to wait. I've had a nickel for every time I heard, I don't have forever to wait for this thing to fruit. I want it to fruit now. So they shop here. They're willing to pay 20 extra bucks and have a much older tree. The other one to watch too is pollinators. Are they right for this area or not? Are they right for this elevation or not? So here we have plants. We need so many chilling hours. So trees are programmed after they see so many hours of frost, of freezing temperature, they're triggered to bloom. And so a desert variety doesn't need very many hours before it just sets flowers and goes to town, because they want to, in Phoenix, they want to get their fruits to bloom early, produce early before the heat of summer. We don't want that. That's the last thing we want up here at altitude. We want trees that need more chilling. They need to go through more cold before the trigger goes off. Oh, I should bloom and go now. And so we want things to wait and bloom as late as possible into the spring season as we can. We don't want them to be tricked into blooming early and the frost comes and takes all of that fruit from you. So we're purposely bringing it in a selection that is made for here that blooms later than others. So not all apricots bloom at the same time. Some bloom later than others. Not all apples bloom at the same time. Some bloom later than others. We want those that bloom later. So watch for that. Do your homework. You don't want to commit to a tree. You spend $100 on it, and then 3, 4, 5, 8 years later, you're going, why doesn't this thing ever fruit? Because you picked the wrong one. And by then you've got years invested in this thing and $100. So I don't mind the money. It's the waste of time, and it didn't do what I wanted. I mean, I'll pay a little extra for myself just so I know it's going to produce for me. It's going to work. So you really want to do your homework on that one. And this is someplace where AI can hallucinate. Depending on the voices it's listening to, it may or may not give you the right choice. I know it's supposed to be super smart than all of us combined, but it's not yet. So do a little bit deeper dive, or come talk to us. We'll just hey, is this a good one? So the only thing that I request is don't call me while you're in Costco and saying, hey, well, which one should I pick? That actually just happens every once in a while. I do get offended, not very easily, but that one offends me. Get your butt over here and, on the radio. Get your behind over here and do your own legwork. Don't call me on your phone. Anyway, buy it from a good, reputable, small family business. We sometimes there's a reason to pay a little extra because you get the advice and you know it's going to work. Now we get to semi-dwarf, dwarf, and standard size trees. What's the difference? So you've got, let's say, a honey crisp apple. That'll come in 3 sizes. Well, actually, that only comes in 2, semi-dwarf and standard size. Let's go a peach. So you've got an Alberta peach. You've got dwarf, semi-dwarf, and standard size peaches. And so a dwarfed variety, true genetically dwarfed fruit tree, is probably not going to get over head high. It's very small. In fact, usually you can keep them down to hip to chest high. So they're very rounded, very small, easy to take care of. They're almost like a topiary. It's like this beautiful statuary piece in the garden. They don't get very big. And so usually you're not planting that for production because it's smaller. The head on this thing, the crown or the branching structure is small. It can only hold maybe a bushel of peaches. That might be enough, but they're easy to grow. They grow in containers. They grow right by the patio. They grow in the smallest of places, and they produce regular size fruit. They all produce the same size peach, but the size of the tree changes. So call a dwarf will only get, let's say, 6 foot at most. I'd say more like 5 foot tall. Then you've got semi-dwarf. Now a semi-dwarf, no matter what size, what variety it is, what we've done is we've grafted a regular Macintosh apple, a Fuji apple, a Stella peach. We've grafted a standard size variety of onto a smaller root structure. So the way we're dwarfing this is we're grafting onto a less aggressive root. So the roots stay smaller and it controls how big that tree gets. The standard semi-dwarf tree is going to get 20 to 30% smaller than its standard cousin. So it's just a step down. So it's a full-on tree. It can provide shade. It's going to get some size, but it doesn't get so big that you can't get to the top of the tree and prune it and pick the fruit and maintain it. You can't cover it. Semi-dwarf is just easier to take care of. It's just a step down. If you want a standard regular tree, that's going to be what your grandparents grew. They didn't have all these choices like we do. We have a luxury of this. And so those trees are going to be standard size. So a peach tree on average grows about 20 feet tall. At most peaches, they're on the smaller size of fruit trees, whereas an apple or a pear, they're going to get on average 30 feet tall. So they're much bigger. I mean, that's a standard tree, it's going to be hard to get on a ladder and get a fruit picker and get up there to pick all those fruits at maturity. And so for a pitted fruits, apricots, nectarines, peaches, cherries, plums, they're generally about, call them 20 feet. Cherries maybe a little bit bigger, but call it 20 feet. Then semi-dwarf is going to be about 20%. So about mid-teens. And then a dwarf is going to be no more than 6. So now you're an expert on semi-dwarf, dwarf, and standard size fruit trees. Pick the one that's right for you. They're all going to produce the same size fruit. So an apple's they're all going to be the same size Fuji apples, but the size of the tree will vary. So look at that. And it'll say on the tag, semi-dwarf. Or if it just has a regular name, that's a standard size. Or if it says genetic or dwarfed peach. That's what it'll say it accordingly. All right, be right back with Lisa Watters Lain and your garden questions right after this. Hi, Watters with the plants of the week and our double pink Linton Rose.
Stunning double pink flowers dangle from this amazing perennial.
And this flower stands apart from the rest for its tremendous color impact that starts in midwinter and then holds its blooms right through spring.
So tough it's rarely bothered by bugs and completely deer-proof.
Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott. And we are back in the studio with Lisa Watters Lain. She comes in each week with your garden questions. Just what are people asking? I posted a picture of our winter blooming jasmine. We just swept it off. It's in full bloom.
Yeah.
Posted to Facebook and Instagram. It like instantly went, all the gardeners went, oh my gosh, that's great. That's so exciting. Not like that, but not in that pitch.
I'm sure it was just falsetto.
Like that. It was kind of fun to watch. Lisa, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Always good to be here.
So it's been a workout this week. You don't need your gym membership at a garden center.
Everybody else gets to lay in bed and drink hot cocoa and enjoy their lives. Garden centers, we have to get up. Okay.
It's fun. I still enjoy it. I like being out there.
Yeah.
So questions.
Fun. Oh, okay. We want to talk.
Well, it seems like we should throw some gardening. We're 2 minutes in, and all we're talking about is snow.
Well, so Sam would like to know, he just put in some new fruit trees, so newly planted within the last week and a half or so. Wants to know, is this cold going to be an issue for those fruit trees?
That was Sam, right?
Yep.
Okay, Sam. Don't worry. They love it. This is the best thing ever for everything in your gardens. About 6 inches of snow will penetrate, is about 1 inch of rain, which will penetrate. What you see up in the snow, that's how far it penetrates down into the soil. Mm-hmm. And so we've got the entire root zone is now moistened and all the soil around it. So it's like, that's the magic. Mm-hmm. Where you really got to worry, if you folks that are tuned in the White Mountains, Flagstaff, Williams, those are the cold areas. If the ground freezes solid, okay, that could be something, but that just doesn't happen this time of year. I mean, February, March, you can get a frost line, but it's millimeters, and then it thaws instantly, like the next day. So the snow will melt very quickly, and so that what the benefit is, it hydrates your fruit trees, and so you can take the edge off. You don't have to go water your trees for a couple of weeks now because you had a good. Mother Nature did it for you. So I think, Sam, you're worrying about nothing. Don't worry. Enjoy, sip some more tea, bake some cookies, enjoy, look at your fruit trees budding out and getting ready. It is the time to plant those before. It's better to plant them now while it's frosty, wintry, than to wait until the leaf are in bloom. We have, in March and April, where they're at risk of more shock that way. You're better off this way. Anyway,
I would say make sure they're staked.
Oh yeah,
because we had quite a bit of wind with this last storm, and if you don't have them staked properly, they could break or they just get frozen weird.
Yeah,
so make sure you stake them.
All your trees at least for 1 year, and then you're probably good to go. So they've got once they put on that next year's ring of wood, they pretty much solidify in that format. So that's good.
Okay. So Jenny would like to know, her ornamental grasses took a beating with the wind, the rain, and the snow.
Yeah, they did.
Is it okay to cut them back now? And how far back should they be cut?
Yeah. So Jenny, great question. So yeah, they're looking ugly. They're just beat up, the pampas grass. All those plumes are just laying on the side. They're just cut them right back to the ground. And so most ornamental grasses, you're cutting back to about ankle high. Pampas, that really ginormous one, okay, that one's maybe knee high, a little bit less. You'll know because you'll see all the last year's growth. Last year, there's this curly Q thing that happens underneath there. You'll know where to go. So just cut them back, fertilize them with the 744 all-purpose plant food, and they will take off with new growth here shortly. I mean, usually grasses start to grow in March. Mm-hmm. So we're talking days away at this point. So and you can tell the plants, they're budding out. They're starting to, I cut back our mums. You're starting to see the growth come up. The peonies, you can see the eyes starting to show. They're wanting to go. So just go for it. The other question I should answer, because I got this at Rotaries at a luncheon on Tuesday, Prescott Frontier Rotary, I remember. they were asking, oh, when can I prune back my roses? Hold off on the roses, because roses can be hurt by this kind of event. You want to keep that structure up over your roses for now, and then cut them back in March, because by March we're done. We can still see snow, but that cold, the bitter cold that comes right after the snow is far less likely in March. If you're to do that now, whenever the storm clears, there's this cold event that just gets real, spikes down real cold. That can damage a few more canes, and so you're left with, probably wouldn't kill the roses, but you'd be left with stubs instead of nubs. I don't know. You want your roses to be done, 3 to 5 canes about knee high when you're all done. You don't want ankle high, because winter came and helped you even more.
Okay.
So, but yes, prune back ornamental grasses. Hold on
now's time.
Roses. Yeah,
Okay.
Now's the time.
Sounds good. So Tom would like to know, do you prune blueberries, or you just let them do their thing?
Yeah, good.
And the second part of the question is, when do you start to prune blackberries and raspberries?
Sure. So great, Tom. Yes, you prune all those. Blackberries, you don't do a lot with them, but they can get this mangy. You give them a haircut, make them look shapely and pretty. So that's about all you do with those. Now, what was the other one? Blackberries and raspberries. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Blackberries and raspberries, prune them back now. So go for it. And generally speaking, now we get into caveats, little tidbits of different varieties. But generally speaking, what the encyclopedia, the garden books say is prune back last year's canes that fruited, leaving all the fresh new canes that grew last year that didn't really fruit. Those are the ones that are going to produce fruit this year. So you want to prune. That's both raspberries and blackberries. They're both the same. Marionberries, they're kind of all those brambles. They're the same. So cut back last year's cane that had fruit on it, and then leave all that entire cane, the whole thing. Don't cut it back at all. Just train it back to the fence or back to the guide wire, back to the wherever you want to keep it. And then that thing is going to load up with fruit this coming spring. So I don't have time to go into details on how to go all that. Come in and see us. If in doubt, take a picture, bring in, and we'll mark it on your phone. Here, prune this one out, prune this one out. And so now's the time. Now before the end of March.
Okay. So some of the raspberries and blackberries they've come out with lately are more of a shrub form, like the shortcake varieties.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the same as a blueberry? Do they prune on old wood, new wood?
I'm not sure. They've also got the new Gem series. So there's a new series that prunes on first-year wood and second-year wood, although there's more production on the second-year wood than the first. But there's both. That's where we got to maybe let us know what variety, because we're talking, I don't know, there's like 100 different varieties. Grapes. You prune back grapes right now. Just go for it. Now, grapes are totally different. You're just taking those right back, basically back to its main stalk, maybe keeping a form there. But really, you're pruning those things back hard. I mean, they grew 10, 15 feet last year. Mm-hmm. You don't want all that on there. You want all that energy to come back, because grapes grow on new vines or new canes. So you want to cut it back so all those new canes start growing out, so you get more production. Mm-hmm. So I think we are just about out of time. Those are really good questions this week. Time to prune. You should feel the urgency. Time to get your soil ready. You should feel the angst. You should second adding manures and fertilizer, getting those flower beds, getting the vegetable beds ready, because planting season is just like days away.
Good time to put out your wildflowers.
It is. Great time to put out wildflowers. Ken and Lisa Lain, the Mountain Garden.
Cocktail trees turn any backyard into a veritable farmer's market.
At Watters, we've grafted onto one tree different types of cherries, apples, and pears for easy backyard fruit picking.
These small fruit trees grow in containers just off the patio in smaller yards. Anyone can grow a fruit cocktail tree.
You'll find braided cocktail trees with multiple fruits beautifully braided into one tree.
Fruit cocktail trees are ready to plant at Watters Garden Center in Prescott and wattersgardencenter.com.
There are 3 key, I would say, companion plants that just love February. Really, they're the companion plants of February. There you go. They're all perennials. And you'll find them at garden centers in February. This is when they show up. They're the first crops to actually show up at a garden center. And they should be planted while it's still wintry, cold, early spring. By the time you get into May planting, they're all gone. It's done. I mean, it's they're done blooming even. So one is Lenten rose or hellebores. They go by two names. Hellebore is its botanical name. So if you're tuned into Fine Garden magazine, hellebores are all the rage right now because they're an evergreen perennial, about knee high, a little shorter than knee high, call it 18 inches, with these bright, kind of bigger than a golf ball, just smaller than a baseball. That's that size flower covered. They're just covered in flowers. It's got a real thick, leathery foliage to it. These striking, big, leathery flowers to them that hold for weeks and weeks, if not months. They bloom a long time. So Lenten rose or hellebores. The common name, your grandparents probably called them Lenten rose. They have kind of a rose. They're definitely rose colored, but they can come in blacks, pinks, whites, reds, come in a lot of different colors. You can mix and match. They're companions with lily of the valley. So lily of the valley is a shrub that's kind of a taller thing. They're definitely knee high, if not a little bit above. And so it's an evergreen, again, perennial, shrubby kind of thing. So it's knee high, kind of ball shaped. It's held its foliage all winter. It's got a striking kind of red tinge to them. Most varieties do. It can be a little purpley tinge, but they've been loaded up with flowers since last fall. I mean, they've been teasing us all winter, kind of like a lilac. They bud up all winter long, and then finally, late winter, early spring, they go into bloom. And lily of the valley have the most fragrant. I mean, I think they might outdo lilacs and roses for their fragrance. They're just striking. And they're companions with the hellebores because they both prefer a more shaded area. And so they're perennials. They come back year after year, and you can count on them. They're going to bloom every single year, every spring, very early, or winter, very late. This is their season. This is when you find them at garden centers. Great in containers. If you're tired of those boring containers, they've been looking dead since the geraniums died, put some hellebores in with some lily of the valley, and you've got instantaneous beauty that will look great throughout 12 months out of the year because they have evergreen foliage. The other companion, there's three perennials kind of go together. So each month we try to put together a mix of plants that can be planted that month that look good and that go together. And so these are the three: hellebores, lily of the valley, and peonies. You see peonies show up at the garden center in February. They're always one of the first things. Now now a good peony will have been rooted at least 2 years, if not 2 to 5 years is how long we've been growing these perennial varieties. English varieties are typically 2 to 3 years old before they come in. And then your Ito, the great big tree peonies, the bigger ones, they're typically about 5 to 6 years old. So they've been at the farm for a long time, fully rooted. They come into the garden center still dormant. We don't want to bring them. They damage so easily. So you want to ship those while they're still dormant. The eyes will start popping out. You start seeing new growth. It wants to go, but the root itself is much more established. These are old plants. And so they'll be a little bit more expensive because they've been at the farm so long. But if you do that, you're guaranteed to have spectacular blooms this spring. You can find some cheaper ones online or at a box store or something, but they're 1 year old. They were just potted basically. And so you'll plant those, and it'll be 2 years from now, 3 years, 4 years from now before they actually bloom. If you're going to do a peony, get the more mature one. They're just not worth the wait. So you just want just trust me. It's too frustrating to plant something and try to nurture it, try to keep it going. People come in and talk to me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. They just won't bloom. They just aren't old enough. Perennials typically need to be at least 2 years old before they'll bloom. It's a maturity thing. Whereas annual flowers, they bloom for a year and then they kind of don't come back. That's an annual. It just grows for the year. Those typically are just several weeks old and they'll bloom. That's pansies, some of your geraniums, petunias, most of your vegetables. These are all annual crops. They only need one year, and they're fabulous, and then they die. Perennials come back for years. Really, perennial, permanent. If you're going to plant flowers, go with perennials. Yeah, you'll pay a little bit more up front, but you've got years of enjoyment from now till whenever till finally you move away. It's pretty much till the kids throw you in the home. They're going to keep blooming. That's how good they are. That's a perennial for you. So, but you can get tricked sometimes. Fruit trees, same way. You'll find fruit trees showing up all over the place. But typically at the box or they're whips. They're just 1 or 2 years old. Well, a fruit tree has to be minimum 5 years old to 10 years old. So 5 to 7, they start to produce fruit. And so here at Watters, they'll be a little bit more expensive, but everything is of fruiting age or older. So they're guaranteed to produce fruit this year. People shop here because they want it now, not later. All right, we got a lot in store for you. Boy, I can go on that soapbox for a while. Be right back after this. Watters garden companions of February are peony, Calgary carpet juniper, pinyon pines, and lily of the valley.
Lily of the Valley is a gorgeous shrub that loves growing in the summer shade.
This bold evergreen delights with dramatic, fiery growth in spring.
Fragrant wedding cake layers of white flowers hover on graceful arching stems.
Each dainty flower is utterly detestable to deer and javelina.
Shop the most perennial shrubs in Prescott by store or online at wattersgardencenter.com.
And we are back with Lisa Watters Lain in the studio. She comes each week and just shares her garden perspective, what she's seeing, what flowers are tickling her fancy. That's even a garden saying? I don't know. Can flowers tickle your fancy?
Sure, why not?
Sure. It seems fanciful to me.
I agree.
All right. Lisa, welcome in the studio.
Thank you.
So what do you got for us? What are you sharing? What insights can you give the listeners as they tune in or watch?
So it's here. It's happening. Trucks have arrived.
Oh yeah, the plants are coming. They're in rotation. Man. They're coming like crazy.
The last few weeks were like, trucks are coming. They're coming. Yeah. And now it's like, they're here. Yeah. So we finally gotten some trucks of new spring stuff in, which is always fun and exciting. And then one of the plants, I brought some nice samples. So those that are watching get to see some samples of some Lenten roses or Hellebores, which are actually a great perennial for here. It's a nice little, gets maybe 1 to 2 foot tall maximum.
Below knee high.
Yeah. They do like a little bit of a shadier spot, especially in the heat of the summer, but they're actually an evergreen perennial, which is very unusual for around here. But I brought some in.
You're showing them off. This is the benefit. So just so you folks that are tuned in, so this is broadcast over terrestrial airwaves, traditional radio airwaves, and then it's also streamed by podcast forms. We break up each segment. So Apple and Spotify folks, you get to watch the video piece of this. Oh, while you're looking at that, could you do us a favor? Do us a just like, follow, do all that kind of stuff, because we're the little player. We're going up against some big boys, but our ratings go up. Google ranks us higher if you actually like what you're watching. Yeah, just like would you please just like us?
Tell everyone.
Anyway, you're showing off the Lenten rose or Hellebore.
Yeah, so we've got I think 4, maybe 5 different varieties in. This is their ice series.
Yeah, pretty
and
beautiful.
You can see it's a very variegated kind of a cream and burgundy color. Absolutely gorgeous.
And loaded with more buds to come. So this thing's in bloom and gonna bloom more.
Right. It's not done by any stretch of the imagination.
Try not to cover up your face on the camera.
Sorry. It's fine. Go ahead. But just a beautiful little early blooming plant for you, especially those people that just are like, I need some color. This is perfect for that. It gives you that early color.
That folks don't maybe new to the area. So if you're new to gardening, so this is a winter crop. We don't have these in the spring and summer season.
Right.
They come late winter, very early spring, because they bloom very early. And if snow gets on this, it doesn't care. It blooms longer. It loves the cold. We had a winter blooming jasmine in bloom in our house.
Yeah.
Where we were dusting the snow off this last week, and underneath it's in bloom. It's loving. Winter bloomers love this kind of weather that we have.
So this gets down to -20.
Yeah.
which if it ever gets down to -20, I'm moving.
Never seen that. Yeah. As soon as we do
So
that,
yes,
we're going to
it
Scottsdale.
can take the cold and keep on going. So that's a real pretty color. This one is a really nice dark Merlot color. Hardly shows up. It's so dark on there, but you can kind of see the
I would call that
center.
black. It's beautiful.
Well,
Wow.
they call it Merlot.
Okay.
But isn't that pretty? Just I see the two together.
The yellow
or-
stamens coming out of the flower just
Right.
is so beautiful, the contrast. And you could plant these together in the same container. Let's say a container, a raised bed,
Sure.
the front edge, because they're going to get, I don't know, 1.5 feet tall and just get nice, full, evergreen foliage.
Right.
Oops.
We have a ivory one that would be super
Oh.
attractive to put those two together
You
in a
mean black
pot.
and
or
white?
a-
I'm talking to men now. Black flowers and white flowers together, because that's a black
Sure.
flower. Come on.
It's Merlot.
Okay.
It's a nice Merlot.
Mm-hmm.
And then just one more, just because they're so pretty. You got to show them off. Definitely a nice color right now.
Yeah, this has got, let me just describe it so it's not boring for you folks driving down the highway just listening to us. This has got like 7, 8 blooms in full bloom right now. It's got a green foliage that's like leathery leaf, which makes it very robust in the dry climate. So needs some shade, but it loves the dryness that we have, and it will bloom like this. It's got, I don't know, baseball size flowers. A dozen of them are going to come up. Blooms like this for an extremely long time. And it then when it's done, you pinch the flowers off, and then it just has this beautiful
Foliage.
Be great with heaths and heathers,
Oh, yeah.
lily of the valley. There's a lot of these kind of companion perennials. This is perennial country like
Sure.
I've never seen. So perennials grow better here than other parts of the country because we don't get disease.
Right.
And the beauty with this, animals don't eat them. So they don't, deer, rabbits, you folks out in the valley areas, the antelopes are becoming a problem. They're not going to bother Linton rose or hellebores.
Same thing. Same critter. Hellebore and Linton rose are the same plant. Some people get confused, so I just thought I would.
Hellebor's
Clear that
botanical, and the common name is Linton rose.
Right.
And sometimes we call it Linton rose hellebore, just to include it all in there. So it's just this, I would say February's companion plants, one of the key plants of February. And you'll see them now through, as soon as this crop's done, maybe middle of March, you won't see them again
Even if
until
that
next year.
long.
Yeah.
So I
They're
would say
bloom.
if it's something you're interested in, it's definitely one you want to check out. Don't come to me in May and go, "Where's all the Linton
Where are they?
rose?"
I personally hope they're all gone by this weekend. So
So definitely. Also, we did get in. They're not blooming, and they're just kind of in the pot right now. But if you want to get them planted, some peonies. We got some Sarah Bernhardt's. We got the red and the pink, and those are just the start. We'll definitely get more in.
Oh yeah.
But great time to plant. Absolutely great time to plant because they are they're starting to wake up. Their little eyes are there, but they're still very dormant. So get them planted. You get to enjoy the blooms this year. You get to enjoy the foliage. So it's a great time to
That's
do
one
that.
of those, if you're new to the area, new to gardening and garden centers, these are very limited crops. We have to guesstimate that, like those Linton roses, those are 3 years old. We had to guess 3 years ago how many we would actually sell and then bring them in. Peonies, those are like 5-year crops. So you get the Ito peonies, those are 5 years old at the farm before we bring them in. And we're guessing 5 years ago how many you all would buy out in the public. So when you see them, peonies especially, they don't look like much. So, but they're going to have this fragrant bloom that just like your grandmother had, they're going to have that. If you wait until they're in bloom, there won't be any left because every cart has, as soon as they crack color, every cart's got one on it. So you want to catch them early so you get prime time, the best color selections, than rather than waiting till end of April when they bloom.
Right. So now we got the Sarah Burkhart red and pink, and then we got the Shirley Temple, which I think is real pretty. It's kind of a white with a blush touch to it. It's very, very pretty out there. We also got in some lilac. So it's the start of lilac season. So we definitely got some of those guys coming in. We have the Angel, which is, I love a white lilac. I know it's not the traditional. We have a white one at our house, and I just love it. So we have the Angel, which is the white. We have Sensation, which is another real pretty one. It has that variegated purple with white around the edge of the bloom. Very, very pretty.
Quite striking. Especially if you're going to cut it off and bring it in a vase or something. Oh, it's beautiful.
Definitely. Blue Skies, which is a very light lilac color. It's not dark purple, but it's very, very pretty.
Like a sky.
Ooh, like a blue sky?
Yeah. It shows up better from across the landscape. So
Right.
you're looking across to your landscape.
lighter
and
color
I like
shows
that
up.
lighter color shows up better than dark purple, some of that. So
Mhm.
from a design standpoint, that's how you use those.
We also got Pocahontas and
That's a traditional. Yeah.
one or two other ones.
Yeah.
But there again, what a great time to get them in because you get to enjoy the blooms on them. Your neighbors get to enjoy your blooms on them. And you're not looking at somebody else's going, oh, I need a
want one now.
lilac. I
Yeah.
should go plant one. We also got a couple of different magnolias in.
Oh, that's neat.
The Elizabeth, what they think is yellow. And I forget the other one, but I'm pretty sure it's pink. Rosemary.
Oh, gotcha.
So we got those two lists. So those are ones that bloom in the spring. They bloom before they put their leaves on. So they're gorgeous when they're blooming. And then when they're done blooming, they put their leaves on and you enjoy them for the rest of the season.
So there's two types of magnolias. You southern folks, you think there's only a southern magnolia. It's got to be an evergreen with a white saucer-shaped flowers. Actually, the prettier ones, the hardier ones are deciduous. That is, they lose their leaves in the winter. Then they get the bright flowers, much more fragrant than the traditional southern magnolias. So you've got both. And again, those are more animal resistive than some of your others. If you're in that wildland interface, you've got deer going through there. I don't know about elk. Deer that keep javelina is not going to bother them. Right. Personal experience. So with that, we're out of time. I know you got a whole list of plants that are here, but they'll have to come in just come and visit and get your garden fix. Watters Lain, the mountain garden. Watters Garden companion plants of February are Calgary carpet juniper, lily of the valley, pinyon pines, and peony.
Your grandmother would fall in love with these larger peony with so many colors to choose from.
There's nothing like the enormous flowers to add stunning pops of color.
Endearing springtime blooms are more than fragrant with luscious double flowers.
Shop the most perennial peonies in Prescott by store or online at wattersgardencenter.com. Let me see if I can cover this in a 10-minute segment. But this week's garden column was on gardening for newcomers. If you're new to the area, this is a different place. We are a 4-season climate, but because of our altitude, our dryness, and our water, and our wind, and our sun, altitude, it changes. There's some variables that change. And so I was explaining, so let me see if I could just expound upon that. So if you happen to catch that, if you're part of our garden club, you can sign up and you got that article directly from my desktop to yours. If you get the local paper, any of them, it was this week's column they published. And so we started with zones. We are a zone 7. 7 means plants need to go freezing. They need to go down to close to 0, about 10 degrees before they freeze and die. And so zones are the lower the number, the more cold they will take. So a lilac could be a zone 2, 3, or 4. They go down to minus 40 degrees. We'll never see that. So you need plants that can grow from zone 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, down 7 and below, and you're good to go. And so if you go above that, you're going towards Phoenix. Phoenix is more like 10, so garden zone 10. They never see freezing. If those plants, you take a saguaro, and if they even see cold, they'll freeze and die. They turn to black mush, fall over, and just ficus. That's a house plant up here. But down there, it's a yard plant they use around the pool. But it's a zone 10. So you're looking at your zones. It's how cold can they go in winter before they are damaged. And so you folks that are tuned in from Sedona, maybe Camp Verde, Cottonwood, okay, that's going to make Cordes Junction, Hillside, Skull Valley, Kirkland going the other way, you're probably a zone 8. So you need plants that can go down to about 15 degrees. You definitely get cold. You saw that this week. You got some snow. That's a 4-season plants. You need plants that can take that. And so it just comes out. You folks on the ridgelines, Highland Pines, Groom Creek, the Williams, Ash Forks, Seligman. You get that cold wind up there, you're going to be a zone 6. Flagstaff zone 5. So you need plants that can go down below 0. Because it gets colder there. But generally speaking, we're going to be a zone 7 plus or minus. You're 6, 7, or 8. Yeah, but I'm different. I'm from Prescott Valley. No, you're the same as all the rest of us. You're a zone 7. Come on, zone 7. Yeah, but I live in Poland. You're a zone 7. Actually, you might be a zone 6 because that cold air spills off of Ash Fork towards you, settles right there in that valley. So you actually get the most extreme out in Poland. Chino Valley, just a few miles this way. There you guys are zone 7. We're a zone 7 plus or minus. You need plants that can get close to 0. So when you're looking at the tag, just know what you're dealing with. If it says zone 9, 10, 11, 12, those are desert plants. The buyer just said, ship 50 of those to all my stores. I don't care. They'll buy them. And they're selling you a plant that will die in the winter. So you want plants that can come back. So look at your zones. We do have, this is going to be for you folks from the Midwest. Our elevation can cause, you have geraniums right out there in full sun. Folks in California, you love your Japanese maples. You always ask for them. That is a shade plant here. It doesn't like our midday sun in June because of the elevation. Yeah, but they grew in full sun in my yard and in wherever. In LA, well, they won't do it here. Or if they do, it'll be the ugliest plant you've ever seen. You'll hate it. The leaves will scorch or get brown tips. They just aren't going to perform well. The leaves will be small. Put it in the shade. It'll take some morning sun, but it won't take that midday sun. It's going to need more protection. And so that's maybe a little caveat, a little different than what you're used to where you came from. It'll be different. It's an elevation thing. The sun is just more intense here. There's less atmosphere. So we're a mile up in the air. It's just less, the sun is more intense and it'll affect your plants. Your geraniums, it says grows in full sun, and they'll do fine, but I find they bloom longer, better, stronger when they got a little midday protection. They love the morning sun, that late day sun, no problem. Middle of the day, that's what gets it. Here's the biggest one. This is for you folks in the upper Midwest, folks. You're used to 8 foot topsoil. I mean, come on, Iowa. How you could throw this microphone out in the soil, it would start to grow there. The soil is just so good. Here, we don't have soil, but you're probably going to have to make soil or bring it in or just raised beds. So we've got caliche, rocks. You've never heard the word caliche till you got here. It's this calcium layer that's like bone. It's solid. It does not perk. And so that'll affect you. So you need to reintroduce organics into your soils. There's a few old farms around. I mean, you go out towards Dewey. There's a few old ranches where they've been farming for a while. Skull Valley, the same way. But those are rare. Most of us are in that new subdivision where they just took any soil that we did have, they scraped it off, leveled everything, put your house down. And if you just grow in that, you don't amend it, those plants they just won't grow. They don't die, but they won't grow. They'll sit there and look at you for years. They'll almost mock you going, I defy you to make me grow. I'm not going to do it here. And so they just sit there for years. It's because that soil doesn't have there's no worms. There's nothing good about that soil. So they just sit there. But if you add some organics, so we always push, you need 3 things whenever you plant. You need mulch to reintroduce some organic material. You need some food because there's no nutrients whatsoever in your soil. It's just not going to be there. You're going to have to supplement it. You'll need to fertilize more often here because of that than maybe you're used to. But if you do it, it's magic. I mean, it's like an oasis. Your neighbors will be going, how did you pull that? I've been trying for years to garden like that. How'd you do that? There's this crazy guy on the radio. I listened to him. He said, hey, we need to fertilize more often, amend our soil. And then I said, we need 3 things when you plant: mulch, food, root and grow. Root, we make a compost tea. Plants are going to go into shock when you put them in the ground. They're going to freak out. They're not going to like that heavy soil. They're not going to like the sun. They're not going to like if you get some compost tea, we call it root and grow. It helps stabilize it and it starts to put out new roots. It just takes every time. You put those 3 things down with every vine, every fruit tree, every shade tree, every perennial. Every time you plant those 3 things, it'll be a game changer for you. Just a few extra. If you're going to spend $100 on a new shade tree, you might as well spend the extra $10 and give it the stuff it needs to really thrive and become a real tree quickly for you. If you're putting fruit trees in, a must. You just need that. Another thing to watch while we're on trees: wind. We do have, the wind is more intense up here. So you're going to need to protect plants, especially trees, from the wind. So they're going to want to blow. They're going to want to give way to the wind. So they're like a huge parachute. When they first leaf out, they'll just catch all that wind, they start to lean. And our wind comes from a prevailing southwest, day and night, never stops, always blowing in spring. So it starts about March. April, May, June, it's blowing. And then the monsoons come and it changes it up. But you need to stake those trees so they stay upright, especially if you're doing fruit trees. So they're going to load up with 300 pounds of apples, or pears, or peaches, or cherries, apricots, nectarines, whatever it is. They're going to load up with fruit. If they're leaning to the northeast because of that southwest wind, they can load up and they'll just literally fall over. They'll literally fall out of the ground. I've literally seen the roots leap out of the ground. And so stake them so they're straight, at least for that first year or two, and then they will always be straight. So it's something maybe you haven't done in other parts of the country, but you need to do it here. That, and I would say the biggest thing I adjusted to when I started growing here, the water is very alkaline, so which makes all of our gardens alkaline. Now, this is a rare thing. The rest of the country, every other radio show, every other TV show, every other garden program, they're telling you to add hydrated lime. I don't even sell lime, or I can't remember. I'll try to talk you out of it if you have it, because it makes the soil more, we're so acidic, it makes it more alkaline. We don't do that ever here. We're always trying to make the soil acidic, bring that pH down. We're trying to change the chemistry, make it more acidic all the time. So all of our foods that we sell here, we put soil sulfur in them. So it works with the food to make things more acidic. So you'll find your soil is more alkaline here because of that. So it causes yellow leaves, smaller fruits. They turn yellow. It does some things. There's some insider tips for the newcomers near the area. Be a game changer for you.
Cocktail trees turn any backyard into a veritable farmer's market.
At Watters, we've grafted onto one tree different types of cherries, apples, and pears for easy backyard fruit picking.
These small fruit trees grow in containers just off the patio in smaller yards. Anyone can grow a fruit cocktail tree.
You'll find braided cocktail trees with multiple fruits beautifully braided into one tree.
Fruit cocktail trees are ready to plant at Watters Garden Center in Prescott and wattersgardencenter.com.
When you are done pruning your fruit trees, and you've got some time, so finish it by the end of this month. When you're all done, the secret to fruit trees is to spray and fertilize. And what do you spray and fertilize with? So when you're done pruning, fertilize all of your edible plants. That's grapes, berries, cherries, apricots, nectarines, plums, anything that you're pruning up here at this elevation. Fertilize with Watters Fruit Tree and Vegetable Food. It's a special organic food. It's 6447. The reason I say selfishly, but because the recipe is made for us up here in our fruit trees, it's specific for here, is it's front loaded with calcium. So it's a completely organic food. It's going to release over the next 3 months as you water, irrigate, rain, snow, whatever comes our way. Water activates that and it goes slowly through the root zone of your fruit trees, of a grape tree, of a berry. And so that's important. It's organic, but really what it is, I know that you are going to be challenged with calcium deficiencies. And so I've put 7%, 7% calcium in this recipe. And so that's what brings out the size. That's what brings out the flavor. That's that mouth-watering apple or pear. Just makes them go, just makes them pop. Calcium is what does that. And you're lacking that in your gardens. I just know that. So I'm there to help you get more production out of those fruiting plants. So strawberries, whatever it is, if it's an edible plant, fruit and vegetable food that we make here at Watters Garden Center. It's a game changer. Really, it does work. You're doing the entire drip line. So that entire underneath the branch structure that's left, you want that entire area to look salt and peppered when you get all done. Now, secondly, now that you've cut back some of the branches, you've opened up the structure of the plant so it can breathe better, you get more blossoms. you're going to have less problems. Spray the doggone thing. We do have bugs, and they're already active. They're already out. Spray with horticultural oil, the entire tree. So from a couple different angles. So get your hose and sprayer, just spray it from this angle, get from the other side, spray it from that angle. That oil is completely organic again. I'm an organic gardener. So it's organic. It's the least offensive, least expensive bug control you can have, and it takes out any bugs that have wintered over with you. And there's some that are there from last year. They're hibernating like bear, little squirrels underneath the bark. They're just there waiting for it to warm up and come out and eat your tree. And then they also laid eggs last year. And so any eggs that are coated with this oil, it coats it and then suffocates that egg so that it basically never hatches, or it hits that bug, goes through the exoskeleton because they breathe through their skeletons, so their exoskeleton, and it clogs that up. So they basically suffocate. And so hugely effective. I get a bottle and I do my entire yard, not just fruit trees, but especially fruit trees, especially things that they're just naturally attracted to things that have fruit on them because they taste good to bugs too. So start out clean. They can always fly in on you afterwards, but at least start the spring season clean. And that's the easiest way to clean your vegetable gardens, your rose bushes. Horticultural oil is just like, it's a go-to for anyone that's guarding the mountains of Arizona. So fertilize, spray it with horticultural oil, and you too will have a great garden season. Throughout the week, Lisa and I camp out here at Watters Garden Center. We love talking to fans of the show. Watters Garden companion plants of February are Calgary carpet juniper, lily of the valley, pinyon pines, and peony.
Your grandmother would fall in love with these larger peony with so many colors to choose from.
There's nothing like the enormous flowers to add stunning pops of color.
Endearing springtime blooms are more than fragrant with luscious double flowers.
Shop the most perennial peonies in Prescott by store or online at wattersgardencenter.com. For a more fruitful garden, increase success in the landscape that just feels better, then tune in daily to the Mountain Gardener podcast. Subscribe through your favorite podcast streamer or visit wattersgardencenter.com. Better yet, visit me directly right here at Watters Garden Center. Thanks for tuning in.